Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt and welcome back to another short war video, and today we have very big news coming out of Poland that last night during Russia's missile attack on Ukraine, a couple of those Russian missiles actually crossed over into Polish airspace before hitting a target inside of Ukraine, and Poland had to scramble F-16 jets to respond to that incursion, and obviously that is a big deal. And also in St. Petersburg, Russia, we're seeing another extremist threat happening at a mall in Russia, which we have the details on right now, and we also have some more news coming out of the Belgorod region. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right into our first article of the day, which goes to us on Twitter at It's the Enforcer. And it says, Poland confirms a violation of Polish airspace by one of the cruise missiles launched tonight by Russia, and the targets of the strikes were towns in western Ukraine, most likely Lviv or a surrounding town, and the object entered Polish airspace near the town of Ozerdo and stayed there for about 39 seconds or so, and during the entire flight, the missiles were observed by military radar systems. And also, we do know for a fact that several F-16 jets were scrambled and they were in the air at the time the missile did cross over into Polish airspace, and the Polish military says that they were prepared to shoot them down, but they chose not to avoid escalation of the issue any further. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right into our next article, which goes to Nexta, and it says Poland could have shot down a Russian missile if it had flown any further, according to the defense ministry. And I think Poland is coming out and making this statement because I think Poland really wanted to shoot the missile down, but they did not do so because it's a consensus among NATO leadership that it's better to let the missile simply basically skirt along the border in the airspace than to cause a potential escalation with Russia. And we're starting to hear some things from Poland that they're not very happy about that policy. But real quick, we can see from inside North Korea and geopolitics that in response to Russia's violation of Polish airspace, NATO has significantly enhanced its posture on the eastern flank, including the use of military jets to protect Polish skies. So NATO is on high alert as of today because of that new incursion. And remember, this is not the first time that Polish airspace has been violated by Russian missiles. It happened about 6 months ago as well. So last time, Poland really didn't do anything in response to it. They simply called down the Russian ambassador and let him go. So there's not much else really to do unless Poland was willing to shoot it down in the moment. But moving on to our next post here, we can actually see from Visegrad 24 that the head of Poland's National Security Bureau says that NATO must change its stance on how it defends the alliance's airspace, and he says that all Russian missiles must be shot down, and Poland and Romania's airspace have been violated by drones and missiles numerous times. On this one, I would have to agree with Poland. If an enemy missile crosses over into NATO airspace, I think that should be shot down immediately. And, it's an escalation in and of itself that the missile actually crossed over into NATO airspace. So why are we concerned about shooting it down and causing another escalation since the missile did cross over into NATO airspace? That's not contested. So to me, it seems like it would be logical to make a point and deter Russia from doing it again by shooting down those missiles. And moving on to our next post here, we actually have one from Visegrad 24 again. And now we're switching over to the story about the St. Petersburg Mall scare that happened about a few hours ago. And in this video we're about to watch, we can see panic and evacuation of a shopping mall in St. Petersburg. And like the post says, the threat of extremism remains high in Russia. So let's take a look at the video and see what we have. So you can see here there are people rushing out of this mall for some unknown reason, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But the people are flooding out in mass, and clearly they are disturbed that something bad is happening inside the mall. But that is pretty much all to cover in that video. So let's move on to our next post here, which goes to Jason J. Smart on Twitter. And it says, Russian authorities claim they caught a terrorist trying to blow up a shopping center in St. Petersburg. And also, by the way, this video is a little bit fishy. So let's take a look at it. And you can see here is allegedly the Russian authorities taking the alleged extremist away from the building. And also he's waving around a pistol, which is absolutely ridiculous as well. That is stupid. But there he is, like just one guy holding the terrorist, by the way, taking him out. But I guess we have to take it at face value for the moment because that's all the details we have on it as of right now. But with that, we're moving on to our next article here, which goes to the Clash Report on Twitter. And it says the Ukrainian UAV strike has happened once again on yet another Russian oil refinery. And this was a precision strike by one of these UAV drones operated by Ukraine. And it was really a 10 out of 10 strike. So let's take a look at this video here and see how this precision actually looked. And as you can see here, there comes the drone into view. It is coming in pretty straight, straight on target. There it is, making a sharp left turn, and it is heading right for that oil refinery. And here it is on final descent. And there is the oil refinery. They're sounding the air raid alerts right now, and it's about to take its final dive down into the oil refinery itself, as we can see right here. And there it goes, right down into one of the main pieces of equipment of that refinery, and it struck. And Ukraine is guiding these things in perfectly. No glitches, nothing whatsoever going wrong with these flights. Which to me is a testament how good Ukraine has gotten with their drone technology. But with that, we're moving on to yet our next post here, which goes to Visegrad 24, and we can see that Ukrainian Storm Shadow cruise missiles hit and destroyed two 112-meter-long large Rapucha-class landing ships in Crimea last night, and both the Azov and Yamal were destroyed, and the Russian Black Sea fleet has practically no landing ships left. Russia's Black Sea fleet is really getting dwindled down to very few ships at this point, which is terrible for Russia, but great for Ukraine. And once again, Ukraine did use those coveted Storm Shadow missiles to pull this off, and they definitely landed a big blow to Russia's Navy. So with that, let's move on to our next post here, and we have one from Nexta, and we're getting some photos from the residents of Belgorod, Russia, about the aftermath of today's shelling. So let's go ahead and take a look here and see what we have. And in the first photo here, you can see there is a big scorch mark right here on the side of this building with a hole on it. The shelling did quite a number to that building indeed. And moving on to our next photo here, we can see that there's some wreckage right here in the middle of the street in Belgorod. And our third photo also shows us some more wreckage in the street. And our fourth one shows that the side of this building right here, it's a close-up shot of the one we just looked at a moment ago, has been hit right on the side. So the shelling has been getting more severe in Belgorod, and the Freedom of Russia Legion has been ramping up their attacks on that city, and it's expected to get even worse in the coming weeks. So let's go ahead and move on to our next post here, and this one is going to go to Nexta as well. And we finally got some satellite images showing the aftermath of the strike on the communications center of the Russian Black Sea Fleet. And according to images from Planet Labs satellite, one of the buildings on Rudnev Street in Sevastopol was struck by missile strikes. So here's how the communications center looked before the missile strikes, and you can see a nice flat roof there. And we're moving on to the aftermath, and you can see there's now a large hole in the building, and it looks like that communications center is now toast. So yet another win for Ukraine in this category as well, and Crimea is getting liberated slowly but surely. And with that, we're moving on to our next post here, which goes to Flash News Ukraine. And in this one, we can see an advisor to the head of the Russian Republic of Taiva died in an accident in the temporarily occupied territory of the Zaporizhia region, and this was reported by the advisor to the mayor of the temporarily occupied Mariupol, Petro, and that last name I can't pronounce. And allegedly, this guy flew out to meet a car and crashed into the Ural and died on the spot. A very unfortunate death indeed, and it seems to be another suspicious death of a Russian leader. Make of that what you will, but it looks like the guy might have been knocked off. That's just my hunch, but of course, let me know what you think down in the comments below. But with that, we're moving on to our last post of the day, which goes to the Ukraine front line. And in this video here, which is just a icing on the cake for the video, we can see a Russian tank taking off its hat to the soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine, appreciating their skill in the Zaporizhia region. There goes the turret, right up and off, and that is a hell of a turret toss if I do say so myself. And we would rate that a 10 out of 10 on this channel, of course. But with that is actually our last piece of news for the day. And I hope you all have found this video informative, and if you have, please press that like button and subscribe to the channel as well, because that greatly helps us get the news out there, and we are so close to hitting 180,000 subscribers. And that's all thanks to you and the LSA for making that possible. And of course, if you want to support our operation financially, we do have a Patreon page. The link is in the description below, and you can go over there and follow that link to sign up and support us that way as well, which is a huge help. And once again, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all tonight on our fundraiser stream at 10 p.m. Eastern, and bye-bye for now.